Me, 24 female, with my dead boyfriend's mother, 50 female. She wants his dog. Sorry, this is longer than I wanted, but I'm still processing this as it happened last night. To get you up to speed, my boyfriend was killed in a car accident last month. This post is not about that. I'm going to grief counseling and coping as well as I think I can at the moment. We were together for 3 years. We started living together a little over a year ago. Prior to meeting my boyfriend, he got a ridiculously cute puppy. At the time, he was still living at home as his parents lived close to our university. However, this puppy was his puppy. She slept in his room, he took care of her, and he trained her. However, his mom loves dog and doted on her like a grandmother. Boyfriend and I met in a local park because he had a puppy and I had an old grouchy dog of a similar breed. Adorable, right? We quickly started spending a good chunk of the time with each other. I'd say we spent a good 60% of the week together. And by together, I mean me, boyfriend, my grouchy dog, and his young pup. Dog spent a lot of time at my place, and I helped with training, general care, and dog activities. After we moved in with each other, I took on a lot more of dog responsibilities. Boyfriend ended up getting a job with a long commute and a lot of overtime. I was okay with this as I ended up putting my old dog down a couple months ago, and I enjoyed having a dog to take care of again. I even started therapy dog training with her because she has such an awesome temperament. All in all, we were a happy, loving family, and Dog and I were great friends. After his death, his family came over to help sort through all of his things. His family took the majority of his material things, cars, computer, etc., which I was okay with. I kept the sentimental things and joint purchases. I thought that was that. During the whole time, Dog has been my constant companion. I feel like we have been helping each other a lot through this time of loneliness and sadness. Last night, his mom popped by after work for a surprise visit. I thought she was just checking in with me or looking for support. After a few minutes of chit-chat, she simply said, "Well, now that it seems like everything is settled, I've come to take Dog home." I was confused and asked her what she meant. She explained that since Dog belonged to boyfriend, it makes sense that Dog be returned to his family. At this point, I became visibly upset, and Mom backed off. She said I can say my goodbyes, but she will be by this weekend to pick up Dog. I am terrified, guys. I don't want to lose Dog. She has a wonderful pet, but she is wonderful because boyfriend spent so much time loving her, training her, and spending time with her. I recognize his mom is also in pain. I recognize that his mom always has loved this dog. I recognize his mom has also lived with and spent a lot of time with this dog. I understand why she wants the dog, but I don't want her to have my dog. Legally, I realize I don't have much of a leg to stand on. Boyfriend and I weren't married. We'd only been living together for a year, and there is no will. And technically, Dog was my boyfriend's property, and property is transferred to the deceased family, right? If his family chose to take this to court, they'd have the resources to fight this. I don't. Is there anything I can do? Appeal to Mom's goodwill? Lay on the emotions thick and hope she relents out of pity? I'm open to any ideas right now. Dog is my best friend now that my boyfriend is gone. I don't know if I can handle her being taken away from me too right now. After note, I just want to say his mom is not a bad person. She has always been polite, sweet, caring. His whole family is a bit rigid and can be stubborn, but overall, I don't think they are malicious. I recognize she wants the dog. It's the same reasons why I want the dog, which I guess makes this even more difficult.
Am I wrong for hiding my girlfriend's heels before going to my sister's wedding? To start off, I'm going to mention that I'm your typical 5'6" short guy. You can't say typical and then 5'6". I hate myself for it. I'm openly insecure about it and have exhausted all solutions to fix the issue. I met my girlfriend 6 months ago. She met my family and they all embraced her right away. My sister invited her to the wedding and mentioned including her in the wedding photos. I asked my girlfriend what shoes she was going to wear and she showed me a pair of high heels that would have basically made her look 2 times taller than me. I asked if she could consider wearing sandals instead since there was going to be photos and I didn't want to look like a gnome sitting next to her. She called me silly and brushed off my concerns, which was not appreciated. The day of the wedding, I hid her pair of heels. She has only one set in the apartment because she moved out all the old ones after I asked her to. She tried looking for them and really seemed to think something strange happened. I started telling her to hurry up so that we can go to the venue on time and she ended up wearing flats as a replacement. Everything went well and I gave her high heels back once we got home. She was shocked when she saw me holding them. I admitted hiding them for the reasons I stated above and she got mad at me and said that I shouldn't have done that and forced her to wear sandals that completely didn't match with the dress. She kept saying I got what I wanted, but she will forever look awkward in these photos wearing those sandals. I do think she has every reason to be upset with me, but what was I supposed to do after I made my wishes clear and she brushed them off knowing full well how I felt about those high heels? So, am I the asshole? I really thought of it as a harmless move and I think she might have overreacted.
Should I tell my mom that my stepdad is putting the moves on me? AKA her husband. Disclaimer, is not my story time. My mom and I have always had a really good relationship. She's pretty much been my best friend all throughout my life. I was bullied heavily in school, so I always confided in my mom. I tell my mom everything, even about boys. When I was in high school, my parents got divorced. Right after the divorce, my mom had set her sights on this one guy. He lived in our neighborhood, was single, and had a lot of money. Now, you could say my mom wanted his money, or you could say that she fell in love with him. I'm not sure which one. They ended up getting married right when I turned 17. My mom and I moved into his house, and it was amazing. It was actually more like a mansion. He had a pool, a movie theater, and a tennis court. So my house was the house that all my friends would come to. And my mom was really happy, I could tell. But there were a few things that I didn't like about my new stepdad. For example, whenever my friends would come over, he would always try to hang out with us. First, I thought it was just really annoying. But after a year of this happening, I realized it was actually kind of gross. So I opened up to my mom and I told her that I didn't like him hanging around my friends. And my mom laid the hammer down. After that, he would not come around at all whenever my friends and I were downstairs. Here's where things start to get a little icky. When I turned 19 is when I started noticing that he would stare at me more and more. I usually would walk around the house in my bikini whenever I was gonna go in the pool. Sometimes I would wear shorts and crop tops around the house, or be in a sports bra and leggings whenever I was working out. But his staring clearly made me uncomfortable, so I literally had to change the way that I dressed. And I didn't want to tell my mom just because I thought maybe I was reading too much into it. Instead, I told my best friend. And when I told my best friend, she told me that I needed to be really careful around him. She told me I shouldn't even be alone with him in the house. I started to get really paranoid. One day, my stepdad asked me why I stopped dressing the way that I used to. Point blank, I said to him, "Well, you stare a lot and it makes me uncomfortable." The smile on his face turned into pure anger. Then he started calling me stupid and ignorant. He said that I was dumb for thinking that and that he was totally in love with my mom and that he would never ever see me that way. But he continued to stare at me. A few months later, we decided to have a party on my mom's birthday. Well, my stepdad got hammered, and when no one was looking, he sat down next to me and put his hand on my lap. That's when he said that he missed the way that I used to dress. When he put his hand on my lap, I pushed him away and told him he was being disgusting. That's when he grabbed my hand and told me that there was nothing wrong with him appreciating my beauty. And remember, we're at my mom's birthday party. I went over to my mom with the intention to tell her, but she was having so much fun and it was her birthday, I didn't want to spoil it. For the rest of the night, I had to avoid him. He would follow me everywhere and try to grab my hand. I finally went up to my bedroom and locked myself in there. A few days after the party, he came up to me and said, "I need to apologize to you." And I said, "What for?" That's when he said, "You know why." Then he told me he made reservations at a really nice restaurant for us to go to. And of course, I said no. That's when he told me that we were both adults, that we could hang out together when my mom wasn't around. I said no, and I've been avoiding him since then. But I think avoiding him is doing the opposite. He now started sending me gym selfies. I told him he needed to stop, and he said he just wanted to send me his progress so that I could be proud of him. Ew, never. I decided that I should move out, and I've started looking for my own apartment. I thought maybe I should wait until I move out to tell my mom, or maybe not tell her at all. No, this is gonna break her heart and flip her world upside down. He has a really comfy life with him, but I don't think that's worth losing me, right? How should I tell my mom? My biggest fear is that she doesn't believe me. What should I do?
Am I the asshole for keeping an inheritance for my ex-husband's homophobic family? I, 33 female, married my childhood best friend John, 33 male, when we were 22. I knew he was gay and we got married for several reasons. I got along with his family who loved me, and John had med school paid for by his family. I didn't have a job and instead became a full-time caretaker for his maternal grandparents. John's family supported us both financially through John's medical training. Once he got his degree and finished residency 3 years ago, he decided to come out to his parents. We got divorced, not telling them I knew all along, and John's parents cut him off completely. He moved in with his boyfriend and they disowned him, and his grandparents weren't told. Because John's family had disowned him, he decided to pretty much limit contact with the entire family and never visited or called. On the other hand, I had been his grandparents' main caretaker for so long that I didn't have any other career training to support myself. And I figured I'd continue being their caretaker as I didn't want them to adjust poorly to new changes. I moved into his grandparents' home with them, and while I was angry at John's parents, I still loved his grandparents who were always kind to me. When they passed, his grandfather ended up willing almost their entire estate to me, which was $12 million in assets. John and his mom received $50K. John and I discussed it, and I felt it was fair that he received more. John and I discussed it, and I felt it was fair that he received a higher portion, and we're both happy and comfortable with how we divided it. His parents, on the other hand, had expected to receive the bulk of the inheritance. They accused me of abusing his grandparents and manipulating them into willing almost everything to me. Apparently, they had made some business decisions, assuming they would receive the money. They also argued that they would have went ballistic if they would have known John was using their money to fund his lifestyle. I honestly hadn't thought of their will when they passed, and it never came up. I feel John deserves the money after how his parents treated him, and John tells me I deserve to be taken care of.
Am I the asshole for being pissed off at my girlfriend for licking all the Oreos? This is so stupid. We mostly get along great, but this one issue is driving me fucking crazy. Yesterday, I went to get myself a couple of Oreos and I noticed that they looked like they were taken apart and put back together. The cream was smeared/gone from a couple. My girlfriend confirmed that she licked every single one of them and put them back in the box. She kept saying, "Eat your chocolate chips." But that's not the point. It's not hygienic having licked food just laying around the house like that. It's just gross. Today, she's doubling down. When the groceries came, she opened the chips in front of me, licked one of them all over, like just slobbered all over it, then put it back in the bag and shook it up. Now I can't eat any of them because I don't know which ones have spit on them. Girlfriend says I'm the asshole for not letting this go, but I can't. It's so gross. Am I the asshole for banning my sister from seeing my daughter after she took her to a Tinder date's house? Me, 25 female, and my sister, Lexi, 26 female, have a pretty good relationship. Lexi is also pretty close to my daughter, Emily, 4 female. Lexi has babysat Emily several times over the years, and there's never been a problem. A couple of days ago, my boyfriend and I were going out to celebrate our 2nd anniversary. Lexi offered to babysit for us, and everything seemed to be set up. My boyfriend and I were planning to be gone for about 8 hours. Unfortunately, about 4 hours into the outing, my boyfriend started to get a migraine. He tried taking his regular medication, but they weren't kicking in that much. I decided to just drop him off at home so he could relax. I sent Lexi a text telling her I was on my way home early. After I got home, I noticed that Lexi's car wasn't in my driveway. I went inside and called out for Lexi and Emily. They were nowhere in the house, so I immediately called Lexi. After I called her 4 times, she finally picked up the phone. I started yelling and demanded to know where the hell she was. She said we would talk after she got back to the house. About 20 minutes later, Lexi and Emily showed up and I put Emily to bed. After she was sound asleep, I exploded on Lexi and told her to start talking. She told me that she was chatting with a random guy from Tinder and he asked her to come over. She said that she knew Emily would just sleep the whole time, so she agreed to come over. She said that everything was fine. Emily just ate some snacks and went to sleep in the guy's spare bedroom. I completely lost it. I cussed her out and told her that she was a fucking idiot. I asked her how she could do something so reckless. She got mad and told me it wasn't a big deal. She would never let anything happen to Emily. I told her that she had no right to take my daughter to a random guy's home. She said that she can read people, and she knew that this guy wouldn't hurt anybody. I told her that she's nuts, and she put my daughter in God knows how much danger. I told her I can no longer trust her and that I never want to speak to her again. I also told her that she's never allowed to see Emily again. She started crying and saying that I'm overreacting to the whole thing. I told her that I paid her to protect my daughter, not endanger her so she could go have fun. She continued to cry and beg, but I eventually kicked her out. My mom says that even though Lexi messed up big time, I still overreacted. My mom says that I should reconsider separating Lexi and Emily because they're family. Am I the asshole? I, 23 female, slept with my roommate, 21 female, and now I don't know how to handle my life now. I, female 21, might be in love with my best friend, female 22, but I'm already in a relationship. So I've known my boyfriend, male 22, let's call him A, since I was a toddler. A and I were best friends before we ever began dating, and I'd been in love with him for years before we entered into a serious relationship. We were like the it couple in our high school years because we'd been in a more committed and serious relationship than most of our peers. We've been dating for 7 years now, soon to be 8, and I could have really seen us marrying and having children together. Now enters S. She and I met in our teen years, when I was 15 and she was 16. We immediately clicked, and she was nice and kind and overall one of the best people you could ever ask to be friends with. She was also really, really fucking pretty, which I think now also helped confirm that, in fact, I was bisexual. She was artistic and driven, which I really appreciated because it helped inspire me too, and I discovered my love for dancing through her. She also clicked with A, and they were best friends soon enough too. It was a really perfect situation, and I'm still in awe of how lucky I am because I got to meet these two. But lately, I think my feelings for her have developed into something more. She isn't gorgeous in the platonic sense anymore. She's so pretty that I want to kiss her senseless sometimes. And wow, she listens and she communicates so well. And I don't understand how she's still single after all these years. Because if she'd wanted, she could get a partner in a minute. And I've been feeling so guilty over these feelings because it feels like I'm cheating on my partner, which just sounds downright horrifying to me. Because there's no love lost for him there. That much I'm more than certain of. He's still one of the kindest people I'll ever meet, and I love him more than life. And it's not even like he's not attractive to me anymore. He's still fucking hot. And he's even started working out during quarantine. And even though things have been so stressful lately, he's kept up a smile. And whenever it gets too much for him, he seeks out me or S for comfort, which is another thing I'm starting to suspect. They're really close. They could spend hours talking to each other, and they go and hang out together without me frequently too. They both have a shared love for video games, which isn't really my thing, but sometimes I'd walk in on them sleeping together. No, not in a sexual sense, but more in the cuddled up against each other, and S was too tired to walk to her place, so why not send? S greets him with hugs, and sometimes if she's particularly happy, with a kiss on the cheek, and he's never minded them. Even encouraged the physical affection and forehead kisses, but it's never been anything more. I know that much. I know A loves me. He's more than proved it time and time again in all our abundant time together, and S is an amazing friend, but I can't help but wish for something more. Maybe I'm just kidding myself, but I think she may feel the same too. I've caught some sort of longing looks that she's thrown when A and I get affectionate when she's in the room, and there hasn't been jealousy exactly, more like fondness and sadness. She's never treated me coldly unless I've done something to really fuck it up, and even then she's always given me fair chances to explain myself or make it up to her, and has always made the effort to clearly communicate what hurt her or how we can avoid it in the future. I don't know, I have no idea what to do. I don't want to lose either of them. I love them too much. Maybe I should come out with my feelings because I don't want to hurt A at all in the long run. Any advice?
The bathroom stories. They're doing fantastic. Honestly, I might as well start a series on this at this point. Today was in a bathroom, but not no ordinary bathroom, an airplane bathroom. Now, many of you guys are probably asking, how did you do this? That is not possible. How in the world did you do it on an airplane bathroom? And honestly, I'm here to tell you guys, it's actually not that complicated. So back when I was in high school, I remember I took a French course, or like, you know, basically a language speaking course, because it is a university requirement down here in Canada. I don't know about anywhere else, which is funny because I never actually went to university or college. Wow, you guys really changed my life on that one. But basically, I'm not gonna lie, there was no like good course other than French to take, because you know that's the one French Canadians or Canadians at least learn throughout the years of like growing up. We would always have like some sort of French class. So I remember I took a French course, and I remember during this French course we basically like learned like the basics of French, blah blah blah, bonjour, ça va bien, you know, all that basic French stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the best at French, but it is what it is. And I remember in my French class there was this one chick who was actually like really good at French. Like, I'm not even joking, she was outstanding. She knew like every word. She knew all like the, you know, feminine and like masculine translations. Like, she was really good at French. Okay, like it was outstanding. And I remember, you know, I always wanted her to like help me out with French and stuff like that, and she would gladly help me out with doing a bunch of different things, and you know, basically help me do my homework, or in circumstances I watch her as she does my homework, because she was pretty attractive. And I remember one time as we were all doing homework in like our groups and stuff like that, our teacher walked in and said that we were doing a trip to France. Now, this was obviously a surprise for us because, you know, whoa, a school's funding a big trip. But at the same time, we did have to pay like a pretty big payment of that. But you know, that's not the point. The payment wasn't the issue. The issue was that, I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't really have any friends in that class. I didn't have any friends in that, well, let's just say classroom, other than the hot chick that helped me do my homework. So I remember what I decided to do was like basically like, you know, talk to her through Snapchat and basically like, you know, kind of talked her up because I didn't really want to be alone on this trip. And also, isn't like France or Paris like, you know, like the city of love or whatever? I'm not sure, whatever. I tried to connect that in some way, but you know, I guess not. Anyways, I remember as like, you know, I started packing my bags and stuff because my parents let me go on the trip. I was like kind of like planning on like, you know, how romantic it would be if me and her, you know, I don't know, did some cool stuff together, like a date somewhat. I don't know. I was kind of like a helpless romantic at that moment, and anything worked in my book. I don't know how to tell you guys. So I remember I was talking to her up the whole night before our flight, and you know, I was just, you know, talking talking to her, being nice to her, you know, making it seem like we were a thing. And I guess in her mindset, we were also, which was like a big W. And I remember as like, you know, we were getting ready for the flights and stuff. And, you know, I got to the bus stop or the school that was going to take the bus to the airport. She was like kind of like always like near me and stuff, to the point where like it seemed like to the class like we were going to be a thing. So like everyone like, you know, screw off, which was really good in my opinion, which was really like beneficial. I wasn't alone. Yay. That's the first. So once we got on the bus, I remember she like kept like sitting beside me and like kind of like getting close to me, to the point where we actually started making out on the bus. And I'm not gonna lie, you know, when you're sitting at the back of the bus, you already know your boy's gonna be getting some. No, I'm kidding. That's not really the quick case here, but I mean, we didn't get some until later, but that's not the point. Basically, me and her were just making out on the back of the bus, doing our own thing, you know, just everyone's just doing their, you know, savas and practicing their intros for when they get to France, when me in reality, I was just practicing my French kissing, I would guess. That's a good one. I'm okay. But yeah, basically, I remember when we got to the airport, me and her were like planning on sitting together and stuff like that. So we did. We sat beside each other and we got on the plane. And once we got on the flight, things got a little iffy. Now, I remember she kept like coming near me and stuff, and the plane was so boring. And I remember we tried watching a movie together, but the movie was like a romantic movie she wanted to watch. And let's just say, like, after a while, I'm not gonna lie, I guess she was just really in the mood. Like, I don't know how to tell if a chick's like horny per se, but you know, you can kind of just tell. Like, I don't think you have to feel them up just to understand that, at least not in my book. I don't know, I guess I've gotten too well known to this, which is kind of funny. But yeah, basically she was like coming near me and stuff, and it got to the point where I was like, screw it, like let's do it. Like what's the worst that can happen? But obviously I wasn't gonna do it on the airport seats. In my mind, I was thinking about doing it there, but then she turns her head over to me and she was like, do you want to go to the bathroom maybe? And when she said that, I was like, not a bad idea. I don't know what it was. When she mentioned the bathroom, I guess, you know, my eyes opened up with like a big idea, like popped on my head and saying like, you know, yeah, we could do in the airport bathroom. So obviously we did, but we didn't know how we were gonna get each other both back there. So I remember my plan was very, very different than hers. At least her idea was just to go back there and say, screw it, like who's gonna have what's the worst that can happen? But my idea was a bit more well engineered. What I would do is that I would go to the back where like the teachers were sitting and ask them about some like Frenchery stuff. And as I'm asking, distracting the, you know, teachers, I guess I should say, she would pretend to like talk to like the flight attending or the person that brings the cool food and stuff. And as we're both like distracted talking to people, instead of heading back to our seats, we just head straight to the back, to the bathroom. But obviously it wasn't going to be that easy. We also had to make sure that like, you know, there was no one in the actual bathroom and there was no lineup. So we had to wait for a perfect time. So I remember me and her were just sitting there waiting for the bathroom to be cleared. And by the time the bathroom was cleared, let's just say everyone was already sleeping. Like, I'm not even joking. Surprisingly, every single student was passed out on their airport seat. It was like the perfect moment. So I remember, you know, she like stood up and grabbed my hand. She's like, I'm not waiting anymore. And she took us back there and she literally took me to the bathroom. When I got to the bathroom with her, I'm not gonna lie, this bathroom was so tiny. Like, this thing was small. Like, there was no way anyone could do anything in here. But honestly, you know, when you gotta do it, you just do it. So I remember, you know, she started pushing me up against the wall, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, we ended up doing the Devil's Tango. Wow, that sounded really better with my COVID voice. That sounds sick. But anyways, yeah, so, you know, we did the Devil's Tango and it went on for, I want to say like 20 minutes. We tried to make it quick as possible, okay? And I remember, you know, as that was going on, I remember she like made a noise and I guess someone decided to knock on the door and say, hello, anyone in there? At that moment, I was like freaking out and so was she, because she's like, what do we do without getting caught? So I remember I turned on the sink acting like I was washing my hands and basically I was saying, oh yeah, just give me a minute here. So obviously now like the person that was knocking on the door knows someone was in there. And basically I remember what I had to do was make him like distracted in some sort of way. So I remember yelling through the door, oh, like I'm actually bleeding, can you go get like my teacher? And obviously he was like, oh yeah, like I'll help out, like let me go get him. So he went back there and he went to go get my teacher. And basically I told her like right at that moment, like you got to get the heck out of here. So I remember I literally grabbed her and I pushed her out of there. She literally went out and she like went back to her seat and stuff. And then the teacher asked like, oh, like is, you know, Bubba back there? And And she said, yeah, Bubba's back there. He's just, you know, bleeding, I think. And at this moment, I didn't know what I was gonna do because I was just in the bathroom with the water on, just washing my hands, praying that I would like bleed out of nowhere. And let's just say, obviously, I can't make myself bleed. I mean, I could, but that's no, I can't. Self-harm is not a good thing for me. No, thank you, especially in these circumstances. So I remember I'm not even joking. This was the funniest part, I think. He came to the bathroom. He's like, oh, just open the door. Like, I'll help you out. Like, I'm here to help. He comes into the bathroom. He sees me with just my hands soaking wet. And I'm like, oh, like, I washed it off and I think I'm gonna be okay. And then like, you know, I basically pretended that it was like leaned off. And then the airport attendant came there as well. And she handed me a band-aid and I just put it on the most like random spot on my hand. And we went and sat down. Once we went and sat down, basically, like, she sat down beside me. She gave me a high five, or like, actually it was a fist bump, but, you know, we're gonna say it was a high five. And yeah, that's basically it. And long story short, I ended up doing it in the airport bathroom, or airplane bathroom. It wasn't really at the airport, it was at the airplane.
So this story takes place back when I was like 18, 19, right? Probably about to be 19, yeah. Okay, so after, because me and Joe, we was together for like years, and then we broke up for like a long ass time, and then we ended up eventually getting back together, which y'all would know all of that because y'all gonna know all of me and everything about me. But anyway, so yeah, so at this time when we broke up for like a good year, and Joe was all I knew, y'all. So of course y'all already know, I, like a lot of people, went through a hoe phase. Like a lot of people went through a hoe phase. I'm not even gonna lie, like I'm an open book, so y'all know. So anyway, around this time, my homegirl was dating this boy or whatever, and we all went to school. Like, well, no. So anyway, my homegirl was dating this boy, and we used to always be at his house and like just be chilling and all that other shit. It would be like me, him, her, like some of his other cousins, because one of my other homegirls talked to his other cousin, like another homegirl be there. Like, it didn't matter, but we'll always be at his house, like majority of the time. So anyway, we used to always be at his house, right? Just chilling, kicking it, whatever, like that. Everybody, they don't need no names, they don't matter. So we be at his house, y'all, and he always had this cousin, like, okay, so their house, it was a front house and a back house. So he stayed in the front house with his other cousins and whoever the hell else, because a lot of times we'd be just like outside chilling. One time, like, we came in the house a few times, but most of the time we outside. So they had a back house in the back, right? And when I say he had a fine, y'all, he had a fine cousin that lived in the back house. This man was fine. Like, even the home, like, we all would be like, dang, y'all see the cousin? Like, he never used to really speak to us. Like, he would just walk by, go by his day. Like, his cousin would speak to him. And we'd always be like, damn, all of us like, ooh. So we'd be like, what's up with your cousin? Like, you know, he used to be like, oh, because the cousin, he was older than us or whatever. And he was like, fine, y'all. Like, he was fit. Like, he looked good. Like, this boy looked good. So we're gonna call the cousin, because this story is about the cousin. So we're gonna call him Lil Murder. And if y'all ever seen P Valley, that's why I called him Lil Murder, and I'll go into more details about that later. So y'all, so we always used to see the cousin or whatever like that. So one day, and the cousin, my y'all said, he never paid us no mind. Like, if we was in the house and he'd come in there and say something to his cousin, like, we'd be like, hi, and he'd just be like, you know, head nod and go by his day. So we'd be like, oh, he not worried about us. Like, that's a grown ass man. He looks good. Anyway, so yeah, so one day my homegirl boyfriend came in there and he was just like, Simone, Lil Murder said, what's up with you? I said, what? So we all like, what? They like, Lil Murder said, what's up for her? And we all like, oh, and it was just like, he said, what's up with me? So I'm like, what you mean? He said, what's up with me? Like, my car blocking his car, he needed to move. Like, what you mean? So he like, nah, like, Lil Murder digging you. He said, you cute. Like, you look good. Like, he want to talk to you. So we like, what? They like, bitch, you better talk to Lil Murder. I'm like, oh, got to. Like, you know, you got to do it for the hood, because you got to just do it, because it's like, we all thought Lil Murder was fine as fuck. So it's like, yeah, I got to talk to Lil Murder. So I'm like, hey, tell Lil Murder I said was good, period. So he like, all right. So he went and he left, and the next thing you know, he walking back and you see Lil Murder, because he had his red hat on. He has these shorts, like, not basketball shorts, but he just had like some regular like shorts on that like stopped like, you know, knee or whatever. And he had on a white tee with his chains, red hat. Oh, Lil Murder was looking good. Anyway, so Lil Murder walked back. I'm getting nervous. I'm like, oh my God, why the hell did he go get Lil Murder? So Lil Murder came back and he was just like, oh, what's up? Like, I'm Lil Murder. And I'm just like, I'm Simone, like shaking. I used to be so nervous around boys, y'all. I used to be so nervous because, like I said, Joe was all I knew. Like, I didn't know nothing, nobody else. So, I mean, I had boyfriends before, but it was never like That was always like school type shit, whatever. So being in the real world, the dating world with men, I used to be so nervous. So I'm like, hi, I'm Simone, like shaking and whatever. So we talking. He was just like, okay, what's your number? So I gave my number. He like, all right, I'm finna go. Every time we was there, he was always leaving. Like, and he always have like a bag, and he always be going to the gym to play basketball or whatever he was doing. And I wanted to be a ball that day, y'all, bouncing me around. Okay, anyway, so. Yeah, so anyway, so we texting back and forth or whatever. And yeah, and he just seemed real cool. And y'all, let me tell y'all, I don't know if y'all ever been in relationships like this or whatever. Like, I don't know, like, as y'all see when I do stories times about Joe, and like when I do more about him, y'all see like he was really mentally abusive as well as other things. But he used to always tell me like, any guy you talk to, he's not gonna want to be with you. He's not gonna do this. He knew I didn't love myself. Like, he knew I was super insecure about myself, that I didn't really like. I believed everything he was telling me. So he was telling me like, God is only gonna want you for one thing. So after a while, it was like, hey, okay, I want that too. At this point, yeah, but that's neither here nor there. So again, that's like I said, whole face. So yeah, so when me and Lil Murder would be texting, we'd be texting about a lot of like y'all like sexual stuff or whatever, but we had never actually kicked it. Like, I would still go over to the cousin house, and he'll still see me, he'll speak like, what's up, give me my hug, and it'll be like, he goes to that gym smelling good, y'all. Like, you ever know, like, y'all fellas, y'all know too, for the fellas watching and for the ladies watching, y'all, that's a A1 for me. I don't know about y'all, but just if you could smell him when he approach you, and it'd be like, he smelled good, that's give you that's a part of your rating. That's you smelling good. Yeah. So anyway, I still would see him, we still would text, whatever. So on this one day, let's get to it, because y'all know I be talking too much, sorry. So on this one day, Lil Murder was just like, what you doing later? Like, you doing something later? Before he was finna leave out to the gym. We was kicking it at the cousin house. So he was all like, you doing something later, like around 8, 9? So I'm like, no, I'm not doing nothing. Why, what's up? He was like, all right, so around then, I should be back from the gym, like already showered and all that. He was like, let's go out to eat. And I'm like, Lil Murder trying to take me out to eat. Mind y'all, like when I said we'll text about like other stuff too. It wasn't always about like sexual stuff or whatever. But we'll just always just text like that. And mind you, this probably was like 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks in. We would just been texting, or I'll just see him, hi, get a hug, boom. Like, we didn't hang out. So when he said that, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna take you out to eat, whatever. And I'm just like, okay. So I'm like, yeah, I'll be ready by then. Like, I'll be ready. He like, all right. So I'm like, I'll just pull back up over here and we could hop in your car. So he was like, all right. It's crazy because I was gonna name him what kind of car he drove, but I didn't end up doing that. So yeah, so he was like, all right. So they like, bitch, Lil Murder trying to be seen in public with you. Like, I'm just like, yo, I gotta look good. So I'm like, I gotta go home, I gotta put some heels on, I gotta do this, I gotta look good, whatever. Because Lil Murder trying to be seen with your girl in public? What? So yeah, so he texted me like, all right, boom. So I ended up pulling up, whatever, and he was just like, we got in the car. He was like, do you drink? I know you not of age, but he was. So he was like 27 or something like that. So he was like, I know you're not of age. He was like, but do you drink? I'm like, yeah. So he like, all right, you want to get a bottle? Like, we could go eat. After we eat, if you still want to kick it with me, like, we could kick it at my house, because he was the only one who lived in the back. So he's like, we could kick it at my house, watch TV, listen to music, whatever. I'm like, cool, fine with me. So we go get a bottle before we head over to where we was going, y'all. And let me tell y'all where we went. He took me to Red Lobster. It's not funny. He took me to Red Lobsters, y'all. I like they cheddar biscuits, so it's cool with me. But I wasn't big on seafood at that time anyway, so. Anyway, and then that's not really, okay, never mind. So anyway, y'all, he took me to Red Lobsters or whatever, and before we went there, we had got a bottle of Hennessy, so we drunk like 2 shots each, like, in the parking lot. So I'm already like, ooh, I'm feeling it. That Hennessy went right through me, straight to Lil Murder. But anyway, so we go inside a Red Lobster, and just so happened, probably because I have my sister, like, help me with my makeup and stuff, so, like, I was looking cute or whatever. So when we went in there, they didn't even ID me, like, when I ordered a drink. So we in there, we got drinks or whatever. So we at the table, we talking, whatever. And he was just like, let's play Never Have I Ever. And if you done it, you know, take a sip. So I'm like, all right. So we at the table, we playing Never Have I Ever. So at this point, you know, Lil Murder started asking some weird ass questions. And I just kind of was overlooking it because I'm just like, he looked good. And, you know, we tipsy. Maybe, oh, sorry. I'm like, we tipsy. Maybe when he drunk, he just kind of weird or something. I don't know. So it was like never have I ever. We going back and forth, and y'all already know. So first it was normal ass shit, like, you know, normal questions. So we could be drinking, like if you've done it, you drink or whatever. So then next thing you know, he started asking me shit like, cause he was in college, or I don't know if he had graduated or what, but he had went to UCLA at some point in his life. I think he still was in college, yeah. And he went to UCLA. That could explain why he always had red on. No, or maybe he was a blood, or maybe he just like red. I don't know. But anyway, so he went to UCLA or whatever. Yeah, he did. So he was just, or did he graduate? It doesn't matter, y'all. Either way go, UCLA. He was there. He was a student. So he was like, so this is one of the questions he asked me. He was like, never have I ever fucked my college roommate. Y'all. And I'm just like, but I'm like, I never had a college roommate, so no. And he was just like, man, college, man, you need some wild stuff happening in college. So I'm just thinking, like, at this point, because I know Lil Murder live in the back, so I'm thinking maybe he had a female roommate living with him or something like that, because you know, he stayed there. So I'm just like, okay. So then next thing you know, like, I'm asking him questions like, you know you want to ask a guy questions, and we play never have ever, so I could ask you like, never have I ever ate ass on the first date. Like, you know, I asked him that, like, you know, see, like, where we getting at later, you know, where this gonna go. So, you know, whatever. So then he asked me like, never have I ever ran a train on my homie's girlfriend. And I was just like, what? How is this, like, do you want me to ask you that? Because how would I have ran a train on my homie's girlfriend? Like, he was asking the most weirdest shit, and I was just like, to where I changed the subject and we started talking about other shit, because he could have a deep ass conversation. I like that too. Like, I hate niggas who want to just always talk about some sexual shit. This shit is fucking annoying. Like, it's irritating. I got shit else to talk about. Like, me and him could have a deep ass conversation. So we talking about a lot of shit. He telling me about like school, like we just talking about like deep shit, you know, the universe, a whole bunch of like deep ass shit, whatever. So it's time for us to go. So we go. He like, you still gonna kick it with me? He wheeled me back in with the deep conversation. So I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm gonna come over. I'm gonna come. So we went. So we get in his house. It's dark as fuck. He kept it dark. Like, he kept it dark. So this, like, when you walk in. I'm trying to visualize this in my head again. So you walk in. He had like stuff on the wall. Then he had a couch. It was facing this way, and the TV was right there. And then his bed was like off to the side over there. So I walk in, I sit on the couch or whatever, and he went like straight sitting on his bed, like leaned up on his bed. So I'm like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. And I'm still sitting on the couch, and he like put some music on. So we just like talking and stuff like that. So the next thing you know, he just like came, sat by me. He was like, you want to kill this bottle? Like, I'm like, all right, let's finish the bottle. Y'all, I was so drunk to where I was up in there like walking around, just talking, touching stuff, stumbling, damn near finna drop stuff. Really was embarrassing myself. And he just looking at me like, and y'all, I'm just like, oh shit, let me just sit down. I'm doing too much. So when I went back to sit down, you know, Little Murder started making a move, whatever. One thing led to another. We kissing, we doing this. Little Murder was Little Murder. I don't know if I can say that, so I'm not gonna say it. Little Murder was beep. Y'all know the word. Little Murder was doing me like I stole something out the crib, and he wanted to teach me a lesson. Like, I was just like, wow, this was crazy. So in my head, I'm really like, Joe was right. Niggas do want one thing, because this man is not making love to me. This man is doing me crazy. Like, it was to a point to where it was like, okay now. So afterwards, we just, like, he didn't tell me, like, he didn't hit me with the, so what you finna do? He didn't hit me with that line. He was telling me, like, hey, we've been drinking, like, you could stay tonight if you want to, or whatever like that. So I'm like, all right, whatever. But I wasn't gonna stay tonight. I was just gonna wait till I sobered up and left anyway, because things start getting weird, really weird. Let me tell y'all. So I'm sitting there on the couch or whatever. I don't know if Lil Murder thought we was gonna go rounds or whatever like that, but it wasn't even it was just too wild for me. So, and he was kind of like, it was things he was saying during too that was very fucking weird, and things that he wanted to do during that was very, it wasn't weird, but it was different to me. So yeah, so he's like just walking around the crib naked, whatever like that, just walking around talking to me. Yeah, so let me tell you about this one time in college. Remember when I said that never have I ever? And I'm like, oh, about the rent a train on the girlfriend. And he was just like, yeah. Remember when I said that? I'm like, yeah. He's like, let me tell you the story. So I'm like, all right. So he was like, yeah, one time in college, he was all like, he was like, when I was staying at USC. So then when he said I was staying at USC, my mind just started going different places. Because I'm like, hold on. Okay. But I'm going to ask him in a minute. And I'm going to tell y'all what I was thinking in a minute. I don't want to say it right now. I'm going to tell y'all. So I'm just see, like, yeah, when I was staying there, he's like, one time I was in, what the fuck? Maybe he stayed in an apartment. Because now that I think about it, he said one time he was in his, no, he walked in. Or he was in his, I don't know. Either way it goes, yeah. He said, yeah, he was in his room. That's what he said. So maybe, I don't know how their dorms are set up or whatever. Or maybe they had their off-campus apartment or whatever. But he said one time he was in his room. He said he heard a lot of like fucking, I just said it, y'all. He said he heard a lot going on in the living room. So he said he walked out the room and like he peeked and he seen his roommate like bend over. Not his roommate was not bent over. He said his roommate's girlfriend bent over and they was doing it, whatever. So he like, oh, okay. He said, so I closed my door, I took all my clothes off, and I went in and we all was just, you know, having a wild time. So I'm like, we all was having a wild time, you know, and I'm just like, oh, I said, oh, so he like let you fuck his girlfriend? He's like, man, we did some crazy shit. I'm like, to her? Look, to her? And he's like, man, we just all did some crazy shit. So at this point, I'm just like, is this man trying to come out to me? So I'm like, what did y'all all do? Like, what y'all do? He's like, it was crazy. Like, you know, he's like, you don't shit like that? Like, you ever had sex with two guys at the same time? So I'm like, no. He was like, would you? I'm like, no. He was like, oh, okay, yeah, it just be like, it's a fun thing for everybody. I'm like, oh, okay. So like, one of y'all like from the back and the other one's like what? I'm, you know, trying now a little murder to tell me what's going on. So he was just like, it's just crazy. He was like, he's like, I never used to pull girls in college. Like, my roommate used to always pull girls because that just wasn't my thing. So I'm like, what wasn't your thing? Like, walking up to females? He was like, just females, period. I said, oh, because you was focused on studying? And he gonna say, nah, because I never really fucked females. So I'm like, so you lost your virginity in college? He gonna say, no. So I'm like, where are we going with this conversation? Like, so he was all like, every time in college, like, my bro would like put me on to females and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm like, and then I bring it back the question. I'm like, so when we was at Red Lobsters and you did the never have I ever fucked a roommate, I said, so you have fucked like your roommate? I'm like, they had like co-ed dorms or something. He was like, no. He's like, well, I did fuck my roommate. And he was like, but no, they didn't have co-ed dorms. So I said, y'all lived off campus? Like, you know, like, wait, hold on, where are we going, Lil Murder? Where are we going? So he was all like, nah, he was like, what you trying, he's like, why are you beating around the question? Like, I feel like I know what you trying to ask me. So I'm like, what am I trying to ask you? Like, you know, because at this point, Lil Murder, what's going on? So I'm like, he's like, what am I trying to ask you? And he's like, you trying to ask me if I fucked my homeboy? And I was like, did you? And he was just like, yeah. He's all like, so I said, like, females wasn't really my thing. He's like, I just really start fucking with females, you know, but I'm not like gay or nothing like that. I said, what? I said, oh, like, you're bisexual? He was just like, no, like, in college is a crazy place. Like, you just do a lot of shit, you do a lot of experience, and like, so I said, you really need to go to a university. It's cool, like, living on campus. And I was just like, hold up, but I'm not finna like tell you, you know, like, clearly he know what he is. He don't want to say what he is, but clearly, like, bro, how you saying you're not bisexual, but you say, he gonna say only on party nights, like when you're really drunk, like, you know, you have fun. He was like, I feel like sex is not really about being gay or straight. It's really just about, you know, enjoying yourself and having fun. So I was just like, this is what he was trying to make it a deep conversation, but it wasn't making no sense to me. So he was all like, have you ever been with a girl? I'm like, yes. He was like, so, you know, like, so what, like, you talk to a girl or you just had a sexual experience, like, you know, like, you're not gay? And I was like, I wouldn't say that. I'm like, because if I'm attracted to a girl and guys, wouldn't that make me bisexual? And he was like, well, I guess. So I said, so you're bisexual? Like, you know, like, and he was like, no, I'm not. And I'm just like, yeah, yes, you are. So I'm like, so what are you more attracted to? Because you say you're not like really attracted to women. You know, basically, why are you talking to me? And he was just like, well, I mean, and I'm like, why does this nigga always in the gym playing basketball? he didn't want to bounce me around. He wanted to bounce a nigga around. So I'm just like, basically, like, so I'm like when you talk to me, like, what was up? Like, what did you, like, he was like, yeah, again, I never really get girls on my own. Like, he was like, this was like really a first. Like, I never really just addressed females. The only time I actually really like fuck females like that is with my homies. And he was like, and well, his roommate slash his nigga, because that's your nigga. So he was like, it's with him. He was all like, yeah, like, I had sex with a girl before, you know, in high school, but it just wasn't my thing. Like, you know, like when I went to college, it was my thing, you know, me and my bros, you know, y'all get, you know, you ever get drunk and you and your homegirl, y'all just start, you know, and I'm like, no, that don't happen like that. We don't just get drunk and just be like, hey, let's scissor. Like, the fuck? So I was just like, oh, okay, y'all. And let me just say this, because I know, like, I got all type of people that watch my stuff. I'm not judging nobody. Again, like I said, like, I was just confused that, like, why did you use me to figure out if you, basically, long story short, basically what he was doing was, I guess because he was, I don't know if he was still in college or what the case may be, whatever, but he was pretty much using me to see, like, I'm gonna get there. So hold on. So I'm gonna get there. So yeah. So I'm just like, okay. So at this point, let's just change the subject, y'all, because it's like, at this point, because like I kind of was liking you, Lil Murder, but now I'm feeling very used, which that was the case. So anyway, so I'm just like, okay. So eventually we just watching TV, we talking, whatever. And I was just like, I'm sobered up, I'm gonna go home. So he was like, oh, you don't want round two? And I'm just like, no. Because he kept trying to go in the back door, y'all. And I'm just like, that's out. Because, yo, Lil Murder, chill out. You know, I'm not your homeboy. I'm not him. So, y'all, so I end up going home or whatever. So he just texted me the next day, like, he texted me like good morning at first, and he never used to text me good morning. Like, we'll just randomly text. So I'm like, oh, good morning or whatever like that. And he was just like, I hope things wasn't awkward between us last night. You seemed really drunk, and I don't know if you really remember anything that you was saying. What I was saying, nigga, do you remember what you was saying? So I'm just like, oh yeah, I don't get that drunk no more. I'm like, I remember everything, like all our conversations. I'm like, no, nothing was awkward. I'm like, but I do just want to know, what was your intentions when you decided to talk to me? Like, you know, and he was just like, can we talk later? I really don't want to text everything. And I'm just like, okay. He was like, are you coming by later? Like, you coming over here? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna come with my homegirl or whatever. He's like, well, when you come, just come to the back, like come to the back and we could talk or whatever if you really want to talk. So I'm just thinking like, it's not that fucking deep. You're not my nigga, so it's like whatever. So when I end up going over there, I end up talking to him because he didn't want none of this shit on text message. And I'm gonna tell y'all why in a minute too. Y'all gonna figure out why. So y'all, so I'm like talking to him or whatever, and he was just like, we got to make it quick. Because I was like, okay, the fuck we making it quick for? You the one said I should come here to talk to you. So he was just like, yeah, basically I really just wanted to figure it out. He was like, because he's like, honestly, like, I'm not gay or nothing like that. He's like, but I have been lately more attracted to men. He was like, and it's actually somebody like that I'm really attracted to at this time. And I just want to see for myself, like, do I like guys or do I like women? So I'm just thinking like, nigga, you fucked a nigga and you're attracted to them. Just be real with yourself. Like, how you gonna say? So I was like, so basically you like just used me to figure that out. And he was all like, well, I realized like I'm not gay. Like, we had a good time, you know, but I just was trying to see, like, maybe it's a mental thing. Maybe I'm just like, he just a cool homeboy. I don't know what it is. And he was just like, I don't want to like fuck up my friendship with him by trying to tell him, to explain to him that sex doesn't have to be just with a man and a woman. And basically he wanted to tell the boy like, hey bro, let's fuck, but that wouldn't make us gay. So I'm just thinking like, again, why did you use me to figure this shit out? Like, you could have been up front. I'm pretty sure somebody that would have been okay with that if you would have told them like, hey, can I fuck you to see if I really like girls? Like, so I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, he asked me like, what do you think I should do? Like, should I tell him? Like, should I tell him? Because I don't know if he really like that, but I don't want him to think I'm gay. So when he just kept saying this, I'm just thinking like, what do you mean think? And you know, like, I just was just so confused. So I'm just standing there looking at him like, looking up to him because he was like 6 feet. And at this time, I don't even care what type of cologne he got on no more, because it's like, Lil Murder, you got me fucked up. Like, not judging his lifestyle or what he choose, that's not the reason. It's just, bro, like, how you know I didn't fall in love with you the second day I met you? Like, sometimes I fall in love within an hour. Like, you don't be playing with people. Like, you had no intentions on talking to me like that, which I kind of knew that, but yo. So I'm just like, okay. So he was like, yeah, all right, well, you gotta go. Mind you, we talking. And I'm just like, okay. So I end up going back to the front. And they was like, what Lil Murder was talking about, y'all? And I'm just like, nothing. Because he told me don't tell his cousins because they don't know, and don't tell nobody about our conversations about what he do. Don't tell nobody nothing. Like, you know. So I wasn't finna say nothing in front of his homies. And plus, I had never told them, honestly. And yeah, I never told them just because I'm like, you know, like, that's her nigga. She probably gonna go pillow talk back to him. And, you know, that's his life. That's how he chooses to live his life. And he needs to figure everything out for himself. So I don't want to be the one to go back trying to tell somebody some shit like, oh, Lil Murder, get down, like, Lil Murder gay or whatever like that. And then they say something to him. And, you know, depression is real. Like, how I know he's not ready to come out and accept who he is. So I wasn't about to be the one to make him do that. So anyway, so I was just like, oh, okay. So he was like, yeah, you and Lil Murder had a good time. I was like, yeah. He was like, man, I had to lie to his bitch and say he wasn't home because he told me to tell her that so she wouldn't pop up. I said, you had to lie to who? He was like, to his girlfriend. I said, his girlfriend? I said, he has a what? He's like, yeah, he has a girlfriend. She pregnant. Bro, I was like, hold up. Wait a minute. Lil Murder got what? And now y'all see why I call him Lil Murder from P Valley. Because remember, Lil Murder was Mason with Uncle Clifford, and he wasn't upfront about who he was, you know, Lil Murder like that. And you didn't expect him to like Uncle Clifford. Yeah, that's why I call him that. So I was just like, he has a what? He's like, he has a pregnant girlfriend. I said, why you didn't tell me he has a pregnant girlfriend before you told me he said what's up with me? He's like, oh, because, like, you know, my cousin. I wasn't gonna be in his business. He's like, you never see the pregnant girl that come out the house? I'm like, you say she your cousin. And like, she will always walk in the front of the house. Like, she never walked straight to the back. And he was like, well, she is technically my cousin because she's dating my cousin. So, you know, and I'm like, why you didn't tell us? And then, like, he will always be gone and she would still be in the front house. But I guess she could have left out through the front house back door to go to the back house. But still, and I'm just like, wow. I was like, that's fucked up. And he was like, what's fucked up? Like, it's not that deep. It's not that deep. I think they got an open relationship anyway. And I was like, nah, I just wouldn't have fucked with somebody like that. Like, that's crazy. So I ended up, like, later, like probably 2 days later, I had just stopped going over there because I didn't want to see Lil Murder anyway. Because now I'm really like, bro, question on question on question. If I would have seen him, I would have had so many questions for him. But I ended up texting him anyway, like 2 days later. And I'm just like, I have a question. He was just like, well, I'm like, you have a baby on the way? And he was all like, LOL, fuck, he told you, my cousin told you. And I was just like, yeah. He was like, I hope you didn't tell them nothing about what we talked about. And I'm like, no, I didn't. I'm like, but why you didn't tell me you had a girlfriend and a baby on the way? And he was like, just because I felt like that was none of your business. What? So I'm like, how is that none of my business? I said, first of all, and at this point, because I knew he didn't want to talk over the text message. At this point, I don't give a fuck because I didn't even want to see you because, bro, what? You're weird. So I'm like, why are you? I said, how? I'm like, you have a baby on the way. So I'm confused on how the fuck you couldn't use your girlfriend to figure out if you like men or not. And he was just like, first of all, like I said, it was none of your business because we have a mutual agreement and that's why she's pregnant. Bro, no, y'all both have sex and that's why she's pregnant. The fuck? So I'm just like, bro, why are you lying? Like, he was just really just starting to just lie. And he was like, and I don't know what the fuck you talking about saying I like men. I don't know. You must be texting the wrong nigga. Because don't play with me with that gay shit.
guys, thank you for watching. I love you guys so much. Please like and subscribe to see more great videos. See you again.